Okay, thanks very much for joining us for our call for the Emerging Centers track of CARC. This time we've got more information about HPC in Africa with a number of guests. So just, excuse me, for those who are just joining us, I will go ahead and excuse me, share. CARC is a consortium that advances research computing. We have a number of tracks in a year-round conference that you can see on the right-hand side. Excuse me, and as well as a number of working groups. And I seem to have a cough, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but please join us or the other tracks for anything here that seems interesting to you. You can find out more at carc.org. And once again, if you could please sign in on the call doc in chat. And I will, at that, hand it on over to Brian.
Great, thanks very much. I won't take too long. I'm just kind of connecting from our last talk through to this one. So I hope that you can see a screenshot of a map. So I'm Brian with the Y. I lead a project that I spoke about in August, which deploys HPC systems in Africa. We take decommissioned supercomputing systems from tier 1 facilities. TAC and Cambridge are probably the two more popular sites besides the one that we have in South Africa. And yeah, we're just getting everyone in our community an opportunity to share and expand their community globally. So for those that were part of the call last year, we had 3 speakers from these regions in Africa, a speaker from Namibia, someone from the University of Witwatersrand, and someone from Mozambique. So today, just for those that aren't familiar with Africa, we have someone else from the University of Witwatersrand, but this will be a student interest group rather than last time it was Shun Pillay who was talking about the actual professional services. And Bernie will be sharing again on progress they've made in their data center in Mozambique. And then Rogers will be speaking about his initiative in Uganda with Stampede 2. Rogers is not part of our official project scope for the project that I lead, but we are also working towards building a community in Africa. So Rogers is part of that community where we're trying to unify all of our initiatives together. And to that, you can see here is a map currently of the 35 sites that we've deployed systems to. Uganda is not one of those sites, as you can see on the map here, because they're not part of my project, but they're part of the community, which currently is sitting at roughly 230 people in a Slack workspace, not only from Africa, but that's our initiative, is to try and build a single unified identity of HPC practitioners. And, you know, Africa Emerging Centers, it fits really well with what this track is about. So that's the quick summary, just to connect the dots. Michael, I think it's over to you now to speak on behalf of WITS. I volunteered to be an MC of sorts. So I'm going to try to keep us to time so that we have more time to actually discuss things afterwards. Michael, if I recall, you've got about 15 minutes, and I will shout when you've got 2 minutes to go, just so you're aware. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. We are actually going to have 4 of us speak today. Sayfullah will be the first person. I will be sharing the slides and everything, but I will hand it over to Sayfullah. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening.
Good day, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sayfullah Jamurti, and I am currently a student pursuing my postgraduate degree in computer science at the University of Witwatersrand. And I'm really glad to be here today to talk about our student interest group and what we're all about. So we're basically a special student interest group at the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, South Africa. But what makes us special is that we're made up of students. So an interest group for students by students. And our main goals hover around teaching each other practical stuff about high performance computing. And we also help each other get ready for student cluster competitions via a mentor pipeline that we've developed over the times. And we're also starting to dip our toes into some research and some of the interest that revolves around that. So how exactly has our interest group grown over time? Well, we first began back in 2014, focusing on local student competitions, specifically the CHPC student cluster competition, which I think is quite widely known across South Africa. But for those who don't know, the CHPC student cluster competition basically allows teams of students from various universities across South Africa to design and build clusters and then run scientific applications on them, with the fastest obviously being the winner. Uh, and obviously, gradually, more and more students from our university started getting familiar with these competitions and the world of HPC. And eventually, in 2020, our group started to move our focus to cover more HPC topics. So a lot of interest grew there, especially for new students. And we expanded solely from competing in competitions to basically teaching HPC and keeping a good pipeline. Uh, but what really makes us proud as a student interest group run by us students is our achievements. And as you can see on the current slide, from the stats listed, we've won lots of awards, especially in the CHPC student cluster competition over the years. And when we have gone international representing CHPC, we've done pretty well too at ISC. And with students from our interest group basically played a big part of that success internationally. And these wins aren't just about trophies. They show how committed we are to what we do and how and what we can achieve, and we come together in sort of a pipeline way. But I'll now pass on the stage to Michael, who will go a bit more in depth about the pipeline that I've been mentioning. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Saif. So Saifullah gave us a little bit of an introduction to what our group is, and I'll be chatting a bit about what we actually do. So as Saifullah mentioned, we initially were conceived as a group to effectively compete in the local CHPC student cluster competition. And we've kind of developed quite a lot of techniques around student cluster competition preparation that still forms quite a large part of our group today. So what we do first is we do some sort of team selection, because there's quite a lot of students in our university that definitely want to join all of these student cluster competitions, but as a university, we can only send a limited number of teams. So what we do is we have a kind of placement test that's slightly more on the theoretical side, and alongside that, some kind of practical assignments and tutorials that allow us to kind of get a pretty good assessment of a student, both in terms of how kind of well they can deal with some theoretical settings, and also how they can actually use kind of Linux and HPC in a more practical sense. After we have selected our teams, we then run them through a pretty hectic gauntlet of preparation that we found works pretty well in giving them the edge at the actual competition. So as a group, we firmly believe in the fact that learning by doing is one of the best ways to actually learn something. So what we do for our students is we give them kind of some very basic and fundamental tools, such as how to use Bash, how to navigate around a Linux terminal, and kind of generally how to kind of deal with HPC systems. We also kind of give them basic and introductory lectures on how to compile and optimize software from source, which is basically the whole thing that you do at a student cluster competition. And alongside that, also what aspects and considerations one has to make when designing a cluster for these competitions. Then we basically let them loose on repurposed HPC hardware, as you can see on the right of the slide. And this is basically what Brian mentioned. There's his initiative that gives repurposed, kind of decommissioned HPC hardware to different institutions around Africa. And we use basically hardware like this to allow students to have very practical experience with HPC before they even get to the competition. We find that learning by doing is very helpful, and they get very familiar with doing all of the kind of necessary things for a competition, such as setting up networking from scratch, optimizing things, dealing with lots of interesting and kind of frustrating kind of errors that you often run into, and when they do this at the competition, they are much more prepared than they would be without actually having this experience. As Saif mentioned as well, we've kind of, around 2020, decided that we wanted to expand our purview to kind of a broader undergraduate community at our university. And instead of focusing solely on the students that get selected to represent us at the competitions, we want to kind of give our HPC talks and kind of upskill a lot of other undergraduate students at our university, effectively anyone who's interested. We primarily try and cover topics that are rarely included in the standard kind of computer science or engineering curriculum. So this provides a nice complement to the students' studies, but then also gives them kind of practical tools that they can use. We primarily focus on giving brief introductions and kind of practical how-tos on lots of different tools. So on the right there, you can see we have a couple of talk examples. One is how makefiles work and all of the intricacies around that. And then the other one is on the Linux shell and how to actually navigate around a terminal effectively. Other talks that we do include parallel programming using tools such as Git, Vim, and so on. And then we hope that our kind of group as a whole can give students practical and hands-on experience and tools with HPC, Linux, and so on. And the GitHub repository in the bottom there is where a lot of our talks and resources are. I'll now give over to Lily to chat a little bit about our group structure and our pipeline.
I'm Lily DeMello, and I'm a second-year student in computer science at WITS. I'll be talking about how our group is run by students. So as mentioned, student organizers are responsible for many things, such as organizing talks, preparing content. In addition, we also organize hackathons, as seen in the photo on the left. As mentioned, we also facilitate tutorials and tests to select teams for the competition, and we mentor these teams. This is all done by students. Of course, this presents a challenge as students aren't permanent employees of the university and will eventually move on. So to prevent gaps in leadership, we make sure to select new volunteers and we train them up. I'm a testament of the system as I was a student last year, and now I'm one of those volunteers presenting today. So that's the general workings of our organization. Moving on to the next slide, let's talk about some of the challenges we face. A big point we use to advertise our group is the free travel that comes along from participating/winning a competition. So once a student realizes they haven't made a team, they lose motivation to keep coming. Course content also gets more difficult as the year goes on, and this could be another reason. Another challenge we face is, like the rest of the world, we were also knocked off our feet by COVID. We had to move to virtual meetings, which had less student engagement than in-person talks did. We have now moved in person again, and our numbers are increasing. So those are some of our pain points and how we're addressing them. That's all from me. I'll now hand over to Jonathan.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan. I hold a degree in biomedical engineering and I'm currently a third-year information engineering student at the University of the Witwatersrand. I'm very happy to be here today. And yeah, so I'll talk a bit about the future plans of our group. So currently we are very internal to the students at our university. And what we'd like to do is start broadening who we're teaching and who we're helping to the other universities in South Africa. And this would encompass things like more inter-university competitions, inter-university hackathons, as well as internal competitions and hackathons, and try and make those more interactive and more of a learning experience that encompasses an HPC scope and a component of course of their courses at university that they can integrate. An example of that is integrating more postgraduate members and staff members from the Machine Learning Research Lab or the RAIL Lab, which is the Robotics and Artificial Intelligence Lab at the university, into these competitions and hackathons, and draw on that experience to provide a canvas for networking for these students and for them to gain greater exposure to what's out there. A lofty goal, and one that we're really pushing for, is we'd love to compete as a standalone WITS team at SC in 2025. The difficulty with this is, of course, funding, and that is something that we're currently working towards. We are always open for sponsors, and in fact, we're looking for them. So if anybody knows anybody that's looking to sponsor a very successful team, or a team with a very successful record, then please point them our way. But we're confident that we can make that happen. So what are the takeaways of our group? I'll just give a summary so that everyone remembers what we've said during the talk, because we've gone quite quickly through it. So the main emphasis point is that we are a grassroots, bottom-up, and student-run HPC organization. There are no staff members doing tutorials, lectures. It is all for students by students. We mainly use repurposed HPC hardware, like from the HPC ecosystems project that Brian runs. And we find that this is a great way to prepare for student cluster competitions, because if you've learned how to set up static network routing on 3 nodes from 2004, when you run into a similar problem on the current nodes, it's a lot more pleasant of an experience to solve, and you're not panicking because it's the first time you've seen the problem. And we find that without competitions, maintaining engagement in the group grows increasingly difficult. So we aim to find new and better ways to create competition that's outside of just a student cluster competition environment and within a broader HPC scope. So thank you everyone for listening and learning about our interest group. On the right side of the slide there are our different social media pages. Please follow them, see what we're doing. We are more and more active every day, every week on those. If you have any questions, suggestions, or just want to chat with us, please feel free to send us an email or a message on any one of those social platforms. We are more than happy to interact with any one of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jono. Thanks, Team VIT. I'm assuming that we're going to move on to the next presentation and keep time at the end for discussion. Or do you guys, was the normal approach to give people an opportunity to ask questions now, or should I introduce the next speaker?
I think we're doing pretty well on time. So if you do want to take questions now, that's probably all right. But I do want to be respectful of the folks further down on the list. So
Yeah.
maybe just one or two.
Yeah.
Or we could just move on.
Yeah, it
I
looks
have
like we're
one.
moving on. Okay,
Yeah.
Alex?
I'll hold it. It's okay.
Sorry, I was muted. Okay, so the next one lined up is Bernie from Mozambique Research Education Network. Bernie, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
Cool.
let me share my screen. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give
Okay.
you I'll shout at you in about 8 or 9 minutes.
Cool.
Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, yeah, I hope that all you can see my slides. Hi everyone. My name is Bernie from Mozambique Research and Education Network, and thank you, Brian, and thank you, Kark, to this opportunity to share our experiences and status and plans that we carried out in Mozambique Research and Education Network. Yeah, I'm Bern, and I work as HPC system administrator. In this session talk, I will talk about ecosystem overview, highlights of our activities, and current status of equipment plans, and the challenge that we faced it in develop our activities. The Modernite HPC ecosystem are composed by two clusters. the cluster C6000 and cluster Stampede, where we haven't donated by CHPC throughout the HPC ecosystem project in SADC with 10 boost of the Texas Advanced Computing Center. And these clusters are hosted at the National Data Center of Mozambique that are located at the at district of Maluana. It's around about 60 kilometers from Maputo urban zone, and the clusters of the Morenet HPC clusters occupy 3 racks of the national data centers of Mozambique, and we have some challenges such as power stability, and because we face it with more or less 5 power disruption per week. And these clusters was deployment by these network architectures that are composed by high-speed network and two Ethernet network to provision systems and manage the service between the master node and compute nodes. About the activities that carried out and during this year started from an high-level mission meeting were occurred at Maputo by CHPC directors and Minister of Science and Technology from Mozambique, and following the series of trainings, workshops, and hands-on on our hardware and build capacities initiative that we configured or we development to share and promote the about the HPC in Mozambique. The contents are composed about what HPC is and benefits the benefits of HPC and in Mozambique, introducing to academics and research community. And about the workshop and conference that we participated in around the world, we have opportunities to participate in regional and international workshops about the HPC conferences in the world in the last two years. About the current about the resources available or current status of our clusters are shown in this slide. The first clusters are currently outdated. We noted they are long so some drivers no longer supports the InfiniBand network in these clusters, and we decided to shut it down these clusters, and we will use the nodes to deploy some services to such as websites and the user database to improve our communication with the user community and promoting our service and share the news about our community. And about the cluster Stampede, our current available 40% capacity with the InfiniBand network are supported well. When we migrated recently to OpenHPC 2, we deployed it successfully in Stampede and have these available right now. And to access our cluster, we encourage the users to fill this and any user form applications where there a description of scientific domain, institution code, software of interactors, and we provide a quicker user guides guidelines or to guide the users in HPC with these topics. And the results of the projects that we approved, we have now 11 users with these. I use these scientific codes from different research domains and the institutions are using right now our clusters. And the some results of these simulations, it's important to show that we performance we tested the cyclones at cyclone simulation with Wolf in our clusters, and did then benchmarking simulation for 4 days forecasters for and simulation with high resolution. And when we increased the number of nodes, we noted that we have more results in less times on our clusters. And some of the results is the drift scan of Virgo Way of radar astronomy data, and the solving an equation using numerical difference to quantum systems. And what is the next plan that we are draw recently? Is important to refer that recently we met with the vice director of National Center of Biotechnology and Biosciences, and we said or we discussed about the setup, the set in a national-wide dissemination program on HPC service for that will focus on the bioinformatics, engaging the academic and research institutions. That we note that two lacks in Mozambique. We need to fill 2 lacks in Mozambique because HPC is in new infrastructures in Mozambique, and bioinformatics and is a new in Mozambique. No one at now or until now do researches or producing researches by using informatics, and we will use the HPC ecosystem resources to build capacity in informatics and promote the potential power of HPC. And one of the next plan is to deploy some software tools to genetic sequential tests and use these to promoting the benefits of HPC resources and producing research in the bioinformatics. And about our plan, we designed it to. We are focused in this year to designing the policies and promotion strategies of HPC for more areas for science, technology, engineering, and maths. And we will assist the recently created Mozambique astronomy.
Bernie, you've got 2 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Training the AMAs will train. We use our infrastructures to training in radio astronomy. And to achieve these goals, we proposed any strategic ways to work team. We need to invest in work team to compose and structured and team and focus on infrastructures to deploy and robust infrastructures and the disseminations about the initiatives like such as talks, workshops, webinars, research conferences, and focus on training these the users that we that we need to focus in dissemination. And the topics or contents is such as Linux training, parallel computing, and others. And the structures of HPC, any initial HPC, we propose these structures for limitations areas like us to start as a high quality service to planning coordinations and ensure out best practice and support deploys and incentive codes in HPC. And the challenges we like to share these as the challenge that we have on continued to in developing advanced computing services as huge. As I show in last slide, we are only two guys on HPC in Mozambique, and we have a more we face it with more challenge, and we have a more plans to make grow this area in Mozambique. And about the power stable is one of the challenges that we need to face it and security operation and influence and for that the most important is influence the policy making stakeholders to elevate this area for pilots for national periods to carry on all the activities properly. Okay, and this final thank you for these opportunities. And if you you want to contact us about these emails of me and my colleagues. Thank you very much. I'm finished. Yeah.
Muito obrigado, Bernie.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Obrigado.
Cool. I'm going to hand over to Rogers. Rogers, as I mentioned before, is from Uganda, and he is not part of the official HPC ecosystems project that we can support, but we're trying to build a larger community that stretches beyond these artificial barriers. So Rogers, if you're ready, you can go ahead. I'll give you a shout at about 10 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Brian. Okay, thank you very much, Brian. I hope I'm visible. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, once again, thank you very much, Brian and everyone. My name is Rogers Chimera from Uganda, and I'm here to present about overview of the African Centers of Excellence in Bioinformatics and Data Intensive Science, currently in Uganda and Mali. This was started by NIAD and other partners a number of years back. So I want to give an overview and why these centers have been set up and a little more details for everyone to know about this. So, like I've mentioned, my name is Rogers Chimera and I'm the HPC systems engineer working for RDCT, that is Research Data Communication Technologies, and supporting the S centers in Uganda and Mali. I'm based in Uganda, but I'm also supporting the center in Mali. Why these centers were established? The 21st century biomedical research agenda. 75% of all modern protocols require computation, at least. 50% of researchers now require HPC to analyze their data. And in the next few years, it is even expected to click 100%. Efficient data movement is necessary. Therefore, computation is a key laboratory tool. Data centers are key research instruments. So,
Rogers, sorry to interrupt. I think you're seeing your slides, but we're not seeing your slides.
sorry, let me see what I have to share. Are they visible now?
No, but maybe just navigate through your main slides because we can see your main PowerPoint.
I think you want to put that in the slideshow since you're using PowerPoint, right? So we don't see all the stuff, yeah, because we can see the main content on the slide. So you're going to take it to slideshow?
Sure, that's what I did. If I stop sharing.
Or maybe to save time, just show through what you had there. We could see your main page and you're navigating. It'll just be smaller for us, but it might just save time.
Definitely. It works too.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about this. Is it there now?
No, but just use your main slides, navigate through those. So we can see why ACE centers. We can see your mouse. Yes, that's it.
Is it now fine?
Just
Yeah,
carry
should
on.
be
Yes.
fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Oh,
fine. What you're doing now
okay.
is fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for that interruption. So research opportunities abound in Africa, but researchers there cannot take advantage of this technique due to lack of access to training, infrastructure, and long-term support. So most of African countries are unprivileged to access such HPC resources. So the solution is to set up computational infrastructure and well-supported training programs. So that's why we have the S centers, one in Uganda and the other in Mali. So the S program features, like you can see the map on the left, we have two centers. One is in Bamako, Mali, and the other one is in Kampala, Uganda. That's where I sit. And the features we plan optimized for regional needs, leverage existing infrastructure and decades of collaboration, providing ongoing support for tools and infrastructure, among others. So the idea is to set up computational resources that can support researchers within the region to optimize their research opportunities, especially those that need high performance computing resources. So the mission is to be a sustainable center of excellence that builds capacity for the use of high performance computing, bioinformatics, data science, and enhanced visualization capabilities to support research and training that enhances health in Africa. So this is the core mission for the S centers, both in Uganda and Mali. At the moment, we are supporting students undertaking master's and PhD programs in bioinformatics and data science, both in Uganda and in Mali. These centers have been formed through a public-private partnership model. Like you can see, we have forms here: equipment and consulting, training, research, space, local admin, connectivity, coordination, training, infrastructure, technical support. So what has happened, a number of partners have come together to donate equipment, training, connectivity, to see that these centers actually get started. The S Center in Uganda here started in 2019. Those are 5 years down the road. And we have a number of partners, like you can see. We have TAC. TAC has donated HPC hardware. BioTeam has donated technology, technical support. NIAD has provided the some equipment and consulting. Then the center is at Makerere University, and actually it is specifically located at IDI, which is an institute in Makerere University. So you can see how the training, the research space, and the local admin, we have a local admin that support the basic basics. We have connectivity. Both centers are connected to the Emirates. In Uganda, we have the Research and Education Network of Uganda, the way Kenya has TENET, and I know South Africa has TENET, and West Africa has the WorkRain. So the idea is to ensure that researchers connected through these NRENs can actually optimize and use some of these resources. So NIAD has provided coordination, training, infrastructure, and technical support to see that the HPC actually is set up. And the same has happened on the Mali side. Personally, over the past 5 years, HPC cyber infrastructure facility at S Uganda was set up specifically at Makerere University, and over the years, personally, I have supported the setup and configuration of the HPC at S Uganda. And actually, towards the end of last year, I had to move to Mali to set up their HPC to get things started.
2 minutes left, Rogers.
Oh, it's fine. Enormous HPC experience has been acquired concerning the research and education, right from the user and the system admin perspective. So the HPC use cases at the centers, a number of them have actually been optimized: large-scale data analysis, hosting of databases, among others. So like this, our researchers need more than just HPC. We are using Proxmox to manage the virtual machines and containers that host services researchers need. The HPC configuration, we are using Rock Linux 8.9 well-slim, and currently running Open HPC. We are using Spark and Anaconda Package Manager to provide tools to users. All the equipment at both centers has partly been donated by the TAC. So we are using the used stampedes donated by TAC. The S cluster specs have been listed here, but I would like to share more on the admin experience and the user experience. From the admin perspective, working with the donated equipment has actually been a very big challenge, because sometimes this is equipment that has been commissioned at TAC and now sent over to Uganda and Mali for us to set up the environment. That is support from US-based partners and sponsors. This one is also another key issue. Sometimes they don't have time to support. Limited community subscription initially. We have started connecting through these communities like this one today to get more support, but initially it has been a very big challenge. Unavailability of advanced hardware such as GPUs. Some jobs require GPUs that we don't have at the moment. Then the improper initial HPC configurations. Initially, it was a very big challenge. From the user perspective, limited exposure of students to Linux systems.
Rogers, sorry. I
okay,
hate. If you can wrap it up now, I'm really sorry to have to do that, but we won't have any time for the group to talk.
It's fine. It's okay. Fine. It's fine. Let me use 2-3 seconds to conclude by talking about the challenges. Very similar to what Vanya has actually highlighted: shortage of staff, power and cooling, user training, affordability, internet limitations, and storage management issues. So as I conclude, I would like to thank all partners and specifically HPC for giving me this opportunity to share this, and I'm optimistic that given an opportunity, I will continue from there. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rogers. I'm so sorry for cutting you off. But I'll hand it over to the COC committee to facilitate any questions or conversation. Thank you for our opportunity tonight.
Well, I'll jump in and take over. I think Rich has got a cold. Yeah, does anybody have any questions for these fantastic presentations and so exciting what's going on in Africa? Gregory? Gregory.
Hi. Whatever. Yes. First, I'd like to sort of share that I feel for power interruptions. I started doing HPC in 90s in Russia, and we also had fairly bad power, and it was a struggle to have a system running for a month straight, and that really made it suck for all the users. But second, for smallish HPC centers that are resource strained, I think a useful thing could be to provide software stack from a CAN software stack. And there are at least 3 software stacks like this I know of that are available through CERN virtual file system. One is our Compute Canada stack that we are proud of. And there is also European environment for scientific software installations that is basically lot of scientific software installed and distributed to everybody via CUMFS. And the third one is, I think, University of Buffalo CCR. So those resources can be, I think, useful if you don't have a lot of stuff to rebuild software locally. So what do you think about it, guys? Thanks.
Thank you so much. To add to that, so I put in the link in the chat. If you join the CARC People's Network, you can contact some of these groups that he's talking about, and lots of other people too. Very helpful people. I highly recommend anybody anywhere on the planet who's not doing HPC or research computing to join the network.
Can you share? Oh, there, you've got it. Thank you.
I have a question for the student group from Wits. That's what you're doing is fantastic. I love that kind of stuff, and I find that student-led activities with no faculty usually work better with the faculty out of the picture. But so do y'all do? And y'all sounds like you do computer science hackathons. Do you do much domain hackathons outside of the computer science domain? Maybe like biology-based hackathons or just data from some some particular field.
Hi, so the aim is to start getting there. So one of the things that we're aiming to do the first half of the year is an electrical engineering parallelization problem. Maybe something in the telecoms area, and that would be in collaboration with the electrical engineering department at the university. And the idea is, as we're upskilling various different things, like one of the things we're focusing on is upskilling the CUDA programming at the university. So the idea would be to bring in other departments for things like the biological simulations and whatnot over time, and then eventually be helping various research projects actually do their simulations on our own local cluster, and that kind of thing.
That's very interesting, because even like biological simulations, I'm a biologist, so coming from that perspective, those are very high-end computational things. But even like just getting people to do like real basic bioinformatics, like kind of normal, like people that are doing normal biology, if you tried to go down like into like less highly skilled, like things that don't require MPI, things that don't require parallelization, things like that.
Yeah, so that's quite interesting actually. We hadn't considered that, but I think it could be something that we do consider going forwards, because it does sound like an interesting avenue to explore. And I definitely think there's a lot of opportunity for that. We've got quite an active bioinformatics honors program at Wits.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a good avenue to go down for sure.
I'll send you an email.
Awesome.
David?
Hi. I'd also like to hear from the student team at Wits Vatersland about the the increase in student participation in workshops and things like that that came with going back to in person?
Yeah, I can chat a little bit about that. So we generally found that during COVID, when everything was remote, including all of the lectures from like all of the subjects, students basically viewed our group as effectively just another lecture in which they didn't really have a ton of like interaction because that was the default state in a normal lecture. And we found that was somewhat hard to actually gauge, were students actually enjoying it, were they actually understanding anything, were they actually kind of engaged at all, or were we just a second screen type of thing that they glance at every now and then? Whereas in person, once we started doing that again, we could, you can check the vibe of the room much more easily, right? You can see like, is everyone understanding this, or has everything just gone over everyone's heads? And then you can very quickly in the moment adjust and kind of take a different strategy, maybe show a very concrete, simple example and things like that. And we've also found that in kind of a Zoom call, if you're struggling, you effectively have to tell everyone you're struggling because you kind of speak to everyone all at once. Whereas in a big kind of lecture hall or like computer lab, you can effectively just raise your hand and then one organizer goes to you. You can be helped, without necessarily signaling that you need help, or like what type of help you need. So we found those types of things definitely helps. Definitely helps being in person to effectively facilitate those types of interactions.
Great, thanks. So it was less a matter of numbers than just having more concrete participation instead of just.
It was
maybe-
definitely numbers as well. We definitely had maybe double, triple the number of students in person compared to online. And I think that was partially just because another Zoom call was just like not really something anyone wanted to do, whereas going to talk during lunch is much more kind of feasible.
Yeah, I think people also like really enjoy being able to engage with the presenters more on a human level and be able to actually like see body language and facial expressions. And I mean, then you can also, if you can see their body language, you can see if they're really not getting it much better than relying on them to type a question and say, I don't understand this, please re-explain. Because I mean, as time went on, people were very like much more hesitant to put cameras on for meetings. And yeah, as Mike was saying, it just became another meeting that they would put on in the background.
Great. It's great to hear from you guys on this and the team. It kind of mirrors my recent experience where I gave a talk presentation, and it was, it was done in the evening in a student community with pizza and soda. And, I just felt it was just tremendously more successful in terms of learning and participation. So thank you for that.
Other questions? I guess if there's not, so Rich, are you there? I don't know if you want to just wrap
I'm
it up.
here.
Cool. So I guess we could sort of wrap it up. Thank you all for presenting. This is fantastic. I'm just like, I'm so inspired every time I hear any emerging center anywhere on planet Earth, like having research computing, because I think it's so important for our species to be able to mine data, and you have to have computers to do it, right? Not just like a laptop or a phone. Like you have to have real computers, and you have to know Linux to be able to use these things. And so these skills are very near and dear to my heart. But I just want to reiterate, like I'm sort of like a little bit, I'm a researcher attached to the CARC network, and this is an absolutely fantastic resource for if you're having HPC problems, or like, I'm going to be contacting people about, some of the bioinformatics training I do, and, from a research computing perspective. And please like join the CARC network and reach out to us, just like we're doing right now, and maybe we'll have a part 3 of this down the road. But thank you, Brian, for everything.
Yeah, I hope it's not a maybe. it would be really
Yeah.
cool to have some follow-ups, you know.
Yeah, we have had just great turnout for these, and people are really appreciated to hear everyone's experience. So I'd say it's almost certain that we would invite you folks back. This is really exciting to see, and just the kinds of activities that are going on, and seeing how we confront problems in all our different areas. It's just great. So yeah, I think we'd, you know, in another 6 months or so, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. We really appreciate the opportunity to expand. Well, a lot of impact happened from our first session. We actually had some collaborations now. We're submitting an NSF grant for something coming up soon, hopefully. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity and the platform for us to actually share about what we do. And hopefully, if any of you are coming to Perk, we might be at Perk, some of us, so we can catch up there in person as well and talk some more. So thank you again.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thanks very much for these presentations. If the presenters would be so kind as to either link the slides or maybe send me a copy of your slides so that I can link them, we'd really appreciate that. We will be putting a recording of the video or recording of the call onto our YouTube channel so people can catch up on this later. I know that there's also some transcripts getting generated. So this is really great to see, and we'd love to see more of it. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.